Seabase, 2012. Our first day began in Seekonk, where we were to travel to Long Island, where Grandma Brownsdorf lives. It was there we were able to taste New York pizza and bagels. Afterwards, we made our way to LaGuardia Airport, where we prepared for our flight from New York to Raleigh-Durham to Miami. Once in the air, we were able to really experience the views that New York offered. This included the Statue of Liberty, as well as sports stadiums, bridges, and the rest of New York. During our layover in Raleigh-Durham, we were able to get some food, or as Tommy called it, Colonel's Kentucky Fried Chicken. After a brief flight, we were in Miami. After accounting for all our luggage, we were on our way, and everyone was quite excited to start our Florida Seabase adventure. We then headed to the second set of grandparents, the Posies. There we relaxed, unwound, and were even able to celebrate a birthday. After a brief night's sleep, we packed up and were on our way. We were going to travel from the Posies' house in Miami down to our final destination, Florida Seabase. You could say the weather was nice. Finally, we reached Summerland Key, home of the world-famous Florida Seabase. After going over the rules of Seabase, we were given a tour. This included the fishing scoreboard, the flagpole, and other signage in the camp. We then lathered ourselves with suntan lotions and prepared for the swimming test. It was quite easy and no one had any true difficulty with the test. We saw some invasive species, even a frozen one, and were off on our way to start fishing. After reciting the Seabase blessing, as we did before every meal, we were able to chow down and enjoy some dinner. Afterwards, we explored Seabase and enjoyed a little bit of free time playing large Jenga.
Go. 2, 3, go.
The next day, we had more fishing and were even able to take out a few sea kayaks and kayak in the Gulf of Mexico. We also had a late night opening campfire. Even the campers were allowed to participate. Our Seabase adventure included a day where we traveled to Key West. After eating breakfast, and like we did every other meal, help cleaning up, we spent a bit more time around the Seabase before finally making our way to Key West. Once there, we began to view some of the many tourist attractions, including the most southern point in the continental United States and Fort Taylor, a 19th century fort decommissioned after World War II. For lunch, we stopped at a rocky picnic area overlooking the beach. Afterwards, we went to the beginning of Interstate 95 and went to Key West and saw all sorts of restaurants and shops. We even found a shop that would let you sample their hot sauce. It was hot. We continued to sightsee until we decided to stop for dinner. Afterwards, we went to Mallory Square for their nightly performance shows. Not to mention the beautiful sunsets. The next day was a day full of snorkeling. After a quick meal, we were back onto a boat and onto the water, where we would begin snorkeling. We went to several snorkeling locations, including an island. At this island, we had a chance to snorkel and even relax a little bit. As a result of the snorkeling, we also learned a few lessons about applying your own sunscreen. We were able to picnic on the island before packing up our gear and heading back to Summerland Key. During the ride, the birds were friendlier with some of us than others. After snorkeling, we visited several wildlife reserves and saw an assortment of different creatures. We were also able to see Bayahonda Beach and its infamous broken bridge. Bayahonda is considered one of the best beaches in America. After a long day of snorkeling and sightseeing, we took to the road, and the crew was certainly ready to just relax. After going back to base, we all did our best attempt at an afternoon siesta, though it was pretty clear Zach was the best. After dinner, we tried our hand at fishing again. Some of us saw a little bit more success than others.
Let me know if you need a hand. I need a hand.
We were even able to try our hand at filleting a fish. We learned a lot about getting meat from fish, just like Mr. Posey learned a lot about why bug spray is important. After a long day, we retreated to our bunks in preparation for our day at sea. After breakfast, we were all geared up and ready to hop aboard one of the Boy Scouts' very own sailboats. While aboard, we were able to just relax and observe other boats that were at sea. We learned how to set and adjust the sails to propel ourselves across the water. At this point, we were the only crew in camp, so it was our responsibility to take down the American flag and share a little bit of our Northeast culture.
Pack up your duffel up and hustle, Sandy, smile, smile, smile. Have a band, laughs on the side and the skies are blue. That's the place for you. Hey, what's the use of wondering? Cause none can reach the beach. So hustle up your duffel up, the fun will double up. Sandy Beach, hey, la 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 la, boom boom boom. Hey, Sandy Beach, rah rah, Sandy Beach, rah rah, hoorah hoorah, Sandy Beach, rah rah, yay!
Yay!
Woo! It just so happened that when we went to Seabase, they gained several new sets of paddle boards. Naturally, we were quite excited to try these stand-up boards. We also tried some night snorkeling, which was quite a bit of fun. The next day, we set out to catch fish that we would later eat on Munson Island as we stayed there overnight. Some of the crew felt a little seasick, but in the end, they still enjoyed themselves. We caught an assortment of fish, including sharks, flounders, and even some yellowtails. We even saw some larger tuna. After fishing, we hauled our gear onto Big Munson Island, an island owned by the Boy Scouts, where we would be staying overnight. It was there we climbed trees, saw all sorts of strange things, and quite a few key deer. We made our fire and cooked a meal of the fish that we had caught earlier in the day. We also had some dinner guests. We had quite a bit of fun with the items that washed up on shore. In the morning, we retrieved some bait and prepared ourselves for some shark fishing. Tommy was able to catch a hammerhead. Afterwards, we lathered on sunscreen and explored Big Munson Island and all its unique characteristics. After roughly a day on Big Munson Island, we were ready to pack up and go, but before we got back, we had some snorkeling to do. Once back, we had our very own luau waiting for us. We folded the flag and commenced luau games.
Who's up next?
The game only works if you're cheering for
Zach!
someone.
Yeah! Let's go, Zach!
You got the sack.
You in the white shirt!
Not like
Some were a bit more physical than others.
Ian, watch out, Ian! Ian, go! He's going!
Oh, God.
Afterwards, we all had our very own limbo contest. Ian prided himself on his limbo skills. After our luau feast, we performed a couple skits and impersonations of the staff. After a week of adventure, it was finally time to start heading back home. It's safe to say that we left our own mark on Seabase. On our drive to Miami from the Keys, we stopped several times along the way. We saw a turtle museum, the original Florida Seabase, and were able to stop at the infamous Coral Castle. It was an entire castle made entirely. It's a complete castle made entirely out of coral and only by one man. It was an unusual, yet still awe-inspiring place. Since we were staying in Miami overnight, we decided it would be pretty cool to go see a Heat basketball game. Despite being the arch-rival Heat, the game was actually quite interesting. The next morning, everyone awoke from their strange sleeping arrangements and headed off to Miami. We did whatever we could to occupy ourselves, including enjoying some Nathan's hot dogs. After 9 days away, we were finally heading home, to Atlanta, and then back to New York. Once we were at New York, it was only a short drive away back to Seekonk. Seabase was an amazing trip and a fantastic vacation.